This is the Sleep Historian. Each night we explore the echoes of the past, stories told slowly to calm the mind and ease you towards sleep. If you enjoy these quiet journeys through time, please like and subscribe, and let the next story begin. Before anything else, there is mist. A pale veil drifts across steep Andean slopes, moving slowly as if guided by an unseen breath. The early light has not yet gathered its full strength, leaving the mountains in cool shadow. Far below, a river threads through a deep gorge, its rush softened by distance. Above, jagged peaks rise into thinning air, their outlines blurred by cloud. Nothing hints at human presence or carved stone. The world feels suspended, quiet, ancient. In this high silence, time appears unbroken, as though the past has not finished and the present has not quite begun its turn. As the mist shifts, faint shapes emerge. Terraces step along the mountainside like measured strokes carved into green earth. Straight walls appear, formed from stone shaped with patience and precision. There is no movement, no voices, only the sense of a place once alive and now waiting. Machu Picchu rests in this quiet space between cloud and stone, hidden for centuries, untouched by roads or crowds. The air feels thin, carrying the scent of moss and wet rock. Slowly, the forgotten city begins to reveal itself, inviting you to drift back in time, toward the people who envisioned and built it. Travel backward through centuries to a world shaped by mountains. The Inca Empire stretches along the spine of South America, bound by roads, relay runners, and a shared belief in balance. High peaks and deep valleys form both barriers and protection, guiding where communities settle and how they grow. In this vast landscape, decisions are made with careful respect for the land's rhythm. A single chasqui runner pauses to tighten a woven strap, preparing to carry a message along narrow paths. Every small action supports a larger system, strengthening an empire held together by movement, memory, and steady trust. Far below the future site of Machu Picchu, the sacred valley nurtures crops essential to life. Fields of maize and potatoes line riverbanks, their rows straight and measured. Farming communities rise early, tools in hand, tending soil enriched by mountain streams. The morning air is crisp, urging quiet focus. A farmer brushes earth from his palms, glancing toward distant peaks veiled in cloud. Life here follows calm cycles of planting and harvest, shaped by weather and tradition. These grounded rhythms form the foundation upon which greater ambitions will someday be built, linking humble labor to the empire's wider aspirations. Follow a royal road climbing higher into the mountains. Stone steps curve along cliffs, each one placed with intention. Travelers move slowly, conserving breath in the thinning air. Llamas carry woven packs, their hooves steady on rugged terrain. Wind whistles through narrow passes, carrying the smell of cold rock and alpine grass. A group pauses to drink from a clear stream, hands cupped around cold water. Though the path is steep, it links regions, people, and ideas across the empire. Roads like this make distant places feel connected, opening possibilities for sites far from ordinary settlements, reserved for rare purposes. Higher still, the terrain shifts. Forest gives way to stony ridges where moss clings to rock and clouds drift close enough to brush with a hand. Sound thins in the high air, leaving a profound quiet. Priests and architects study the landscape, noting angles of sunlight, the course of stars, and the alignment of peaks. A hand rests on smooth stone, testing its steadiness. Decisions unfold slowly, guided by knowledge and reverence. The mountains are not obstacles but living presences, shaping spiritual and practical choices. This land will determine what can be built and where its foundations should rest. In Cusco, the imperial capital, plans take form. Wooden boards, quipu cords, and spoken directives create a web of communication. Leaders consider the need for retreats far from bustling centers, places where rulers can observe the world from calm heights. Skilled stoneworkers are chosen, their abilities earned through years of careful practice. One artisan sharpens a tool, testing its edge with a thumb. Preparations begin with people, workers, planners, farmers, and guides, whose paths intersect through duty. The idea of a sanctuary high in the mountains grows quietly, supported by the empire's steady rhythm and a belief in purposeful construction. Materials are gathered with patience. Granite blocks sit at quarries near steep slopes, waiting to be shaped and moved. Tools are simple but effective. Hammerstones, wooden levers, braided ropes. Workers coordinate in teams, lifting and adjusting each piece. The air rings with rhythmic taps as edges are smoothed. A young laborer wipes sweat from his brow, adjusting his stance before continuing. Progress remains slow by design, valuing precision over haste. Every stone destined for the high city must be flawless, prepared to endure wind, rain, and passing centuries. The process reflects a belief that lasting structures require deliberate, steady effort. Along narrow trails, crews begin hauling stones upward. Steps cut into mountainsides guide their ascent, while ropes looped across shoulders distribute weight. The path is strenuous, but workers move with practiced calm. Clouds drift low, sometimes obscuring the route ahead, prompting short pauses until the view clears. A foreman signals a brief rest, allowing hands to relax and lungs to recover. From the ridge, valleys stretch far below, reminding everyone of the height already gained. The journey strengthens collective resolve, binding individuals into a shared purpose, shaped by endurance and quiet determination. Essential qualities for what lies ahead. At last, the teams reach a narrow ridge flanked by steep drops and sweeping vistas. The wind is cooler here, carrying moisture from passing clouds. Workers set down their loads, examining the flat terraces of earth that will soon become foundations. The landscape offers both isolation and grandeur, a place removed from ordinary life. One worker presses a palm to the ground, feeling its solidity. The site feels balanced, chosen not only for elevation but for harmony with surrounding peaks. Here, in this quiet realm above the world, the first stones of Machu Picchu will be arranged with measured care. Construction begins with terraces carved into mountainside slopes. Stone retaining walls hold back earth, forming steps that prevent erosion and create space for crops. Workers shape each surface with careful attention, using simple tools and steady hands. The rhythm of chisels echoes softly in the high air. A man pauses to straighten a woven belt, then resumes his task. These terraces are not decoration but lifelines, ensuring stability and sustenance. They reflect a mindset that blends practicality with respect for the land. Before any building can rise, the mountain itself must be prepared to welcome weight, purpose, and human presence. Channels are dug to guide water across the site. Narrow canals slope gently downward, allowing streams to flow with controlled speed. Engineers test the incline using small stones, watching how water pools and moves. The air carries the soft trickle of diverted streams. A woman adjusts a clay vessel beneath a spout, catching fresh water for cooking. This hydraulic system, though modest in appearance, will support daily life and maintain the terraces. The Inca treat water as both necessity and gift, shaping it without force. Calm, continuous flow becomes part of the city's quiet heartbeat, sustaining every corner of the settlement. Foundations are laid for dwellings and storage rooms. Workers position stones with remarkable precision, fitting each block so closely that mortar becomes unnecessary. Edges are tested by running fingers along seams, feeling for gaps. The sound of stone meeting stone resonates like a slow, steady drumbeat. Inside the emerging walls, small openings allow light and air to circulate. A builder smooths dust from his tunic, then kneels to adjust a cornerstone by a fraction. These structures are modest but strong, designed to endure shifting weather and restless earth. Stability, not ornament, defines this early stage of construction. As walls rise, the landscape begins to change. Clusters of buildings take form, their shapes simple and purposeful. Thatched roofs will one day shelter sleeping quarters, storerooms, and workspaces. Pathways emerge between them, narrow corridors guiding movement across the site. The air smells of fresh-cut grass and damp stone. A child carries a bundle of reeds, following an older worker with steady steps. Though the city is far from complete, it already suggests a community, a place where people will live, rest, think, and labor. The transformation feels gradual, like a quiet unfolding, rather than a sudden arrival. Stoneworkers labor on more complex features, doorways, niches, and carefully angled windows. Each opening is carved to frame light and withstand wind. Workers use wooden guides to check alignment, adjusting until satisfied. The mountain breeze flows through these spaces, cooling warm skin. One craftsman pauses to stretch stiff fingers before returning to his task. The precision here speaks of long experience, passed down through observation and practice. These architectural details may appear simple, but they reflect deep understanding of climate and structure. They prepare the city to function not just as a refuge, but as a place of thoughtful design. Attention turns to the central sector, where open plazas are shaped from flattened earth and aligned stone. Workers clear debris and smooth surfaces, creating spaces for gathering and ceremony. The wind scatters loose dust, revealing pale patterns on the ground. A group of laborers sits briefly at the plaza's edge, sharing water and a moment of rest. This open area will become a focal point, inviting movement and quiet assembly. Its presence reflects the Inca belief that communities require not only shelter and storage, but shared spaces. Here, the city's social and spiritual life will find room to breathe. Farther upslope, steps are carved into bedrock, linking different levels of the city. Each step is measured carefully, ensuring safe passage. Workers test them with deliberate strides, adjusting height where needed. The sound of chiseling echoes between cliffs, softened by cloud. A mason wipes stone dust from his cheek, leaving a pale streak before smiling faintly. These stairways are arteries of the settlement, guiding feet along steep terrain. They create continuity between terraces, homes, and ceremonial spaces. Movement becomes easier, more fluid, allowing the city to unfold vertically without strain. The mountain is gradually becoming navigable, shaped with respect. By now, the outlines of a city are unmistakable. Terraces ripple down the mountainside, while stone buildings rise in careful clusters. The air feels charged with quiet accomplishment. Workers stand back to observe the emerging shape, hands resting on hips. Clouds drift in, brushing rooftops with cool vapor. Though unfinished, the site possesses a distinct character, remote, balanced, harmonious. It reflects an understanding that architecture must serve both function and landscape. Machu Picchu is no longer merely an idea. It is a physical presence growing from rock and earth, anchored firmly in place, yet seemingly suspended in the sky. With construction ongoing, people begin to settle the high city. Families move into simple dwellings, carrying blankets, tools, and storage baskets. Smoke rises from small hearths as meals are prepared. The air smells of toasted maize and herbs. A woman folds a woven cloth, smoothing its edges before placing it on a shelf. Life at this altitude is quieter, slower, shaped by thin air and shifting weather. Each day begins with observation: clouds, wind, the angle of the sun. Residents learn to balance effort with rest, finding a rhythm suited to the mountain's demands. The city starts to feel inhabited. Agricultural terraces come alive with green shoots. Crops suited to high elevation, quinoa, potatoes, and maize, grow in orderly rows. Workers move along narrow paths, checking moisture and soil. The sun warms the terraces by midday, but mornings remain cool. A farmer presses his thumb into damp earth, satisfied with its texture. These terraces are both practical and symbolic, demonstrating harmony between human needs and natural contours. The food grown here will support those living and working in the city. Agriculture becomes a quiet dialogue with the mountain, a partnership built on patience, observation, and trust in the land's resilience. In workshops near the central plaza, artisans craft tools, textiles, and ceremonial objects. Stone blades are sharpened, weaving looms are tightened, and small figures are carved from bone or wood. The sound of tools is steady but not harsh, forming a gentle rhythm. A weaver guides colored threads through her loom, fingers moving with practiced grace. Items created here serve daily needs and spiritual rituals alike. Craftsmanship carries meaning, reflecting not only skill but identity. Through these quiet tasks, the city becomes more than stone. It becomes a place shaped by human intention, where usefulness and beauty intertwine subtly. Messengers arrive from lower regions, bringing news, supplies, and occasional visitors. They ascend stairways with measured steps, lungs adjusting to thin air. At a landing, a chasqui hands over a small bundle wrapped in cloth, perhaps dried beans, a tool, or a written instruction conveyed through quipu cords. The exchange is brief but significant, Communication sustains the city, connecting it to the wider empire. A messenger pauses, resting a hand against a wall to steady his breath before descending again. These movements remind everyone that Machu Picchu, though remote, is not isolated. It belongs to a network held together by trust and duty. Daily routines shape the settlement. People rise at dawn, prepare meals, tend fields, repair roofs, and gather in small groups to talk quietly. Children chase each other along narrow paths before being guided back to chores. The air carries laughter, footsteps, and the soft crackle of cooking fires. A man adjusts a wooden beam supporting a roof, tapping it gently into place. Life here is modest, free from the noise of larger urban centers. The mountain encourages attentiveness. Every action matters. Each task contributes to the city's survival. These routines give the place its steady pulse, grounding it in familiarity. Spiritual practices emerge alongside daily work. Priests observe celestial patterns from high vantage points, tracking the movement of the sun and stars. Ceremonies are held at dawn or dusk, when light shifts gently across stone. Offerings of coca leaves or maize are placed at sacred sites. A woman kneels briefly, hands clasped, before standing and returning to her tasks. Religion here feels integrated with environment, acknowledging mountain peaks as powerful presences. Such rituals offer guidance and reassurance, reminding residents that they belong to something larger than themselves. A cosmic order reflected in the calm harmony of the city's design. Evenings bring cooler air and deepening shadows. Residents gather near hearths, sharing food and stories. Flames flicker against stone walls, casting warm light. A child traces a finger along a carved surface, fascinated by its texture. The mountain grows quiet as wind settles. Far below, darkness fills the valley. Above, stars emerge through thinning clouds. The city feels suspended between earth and sky, a place both grounded and elevated. Night encourages rest and reflection. People lie down on woven mats, adjusting blankets to ward off the chill. Sleep comes gently, supported by routine and the mountain's steady presence. Over time, Machu Picchu becomes a destination for select visitors, nobles, scholars, and officials seeking respite or reflection. Their arrival is marked by quiet respect rather than fanfare. They walk slowly through plazas, observing the terraces and stone buildings with thoughtful eyes. A noble adjusts the hem of a cloak, brushing away dust before continuing. Visitors sense the intentional stillness of the place, its separation from everyday concerns. Conversations remain subdued, shaped by the altitude and calm atmosphere. In this sanctuary, people find perspective, a chance to look outward across vast distances and inward toward their own thoughts. Years pass, and the city's rhythms become familiar. Residents tend fields, repair structures, and observe seasonal cycles. The weather shifts subtly from clear skies to drifting mist, then back again. A woman sweeps a doorway with a bundle of reeds, clearing fallen leaves. The mountain's demands remain constant, encouraging steady attention. Life continues without dramatic changes, emphasizing sustainability over expansion. Machu Picchu feels self-contained, balanced between solitude and connection. The absence of conflict or haste gives the city a timeless character. as though it exists outside typical measures of progress. Each day reinforces its quiet purpose. Yet subtle reminders of the mountain's power remain. Occasional tremors ripple through the ground, barely noticeable but real. Residents pause, exchanging calm glances before resuming their tasks. Clouds gather quickly some afternoons, cloaking the city in cool vapor. Rain taps softly against stone, filling channels and feeding terraces. A man checks a retaining wall, running his hand along its surface to ensure stability. Nature's presence here is constant, shaping behavior and choices. Though secure, the city is never careless. The environment commands respect, reminding those who live here that harmony requires attentiveness and a willingness to adapt. Seasonal celebrations mark the passage of time. During festivals, residents arrange simple altars with flowers and food, offering thanks for harvest and protection. Music arises from flutes and drums, their tones carried by thin air. People move in slow, deliberate steps, mindful of altitude. A child clasps a parent's hand, watching dancers with wide eyes. These gatherings are modest, emphasizing community rather than spectacle. They strengthen bonds and reinforce shared identity. In a place where daily life depends on cooperation and trust, such rituals provide reassurance. Festivities end quietly, leaving behind a sense of renewal and calm determination. Trade caravans occasionally arrive with goods from distant regions: salt, textiles, and tools. Llamas are unloaded in the lower terraces, their handlers resting briefly before continuing. Merchants speak in low voices, negotiating exchanges. A trader lifts a brightly dyed cloth, inspecting its weave in shifting light. These interactions expand horizons, reminding residents of the empire's reach. Yet even commerce unfolds with restraint. The city's altitude limits prolonged stays, encouraging quiet efficiency. Once exchanges conclude, caravans depart, their footsteps fading down stone paths. Machu Picchu returns to its usual stillness, its character unchanged, but subtly enriched by new connections. Some visitors come seeking guidance rather than trade. Priests lead them to high observation points where peaks align with celestial markers. From these vantage points, sunrises and solstices hold special meaning. A visitor adjusts a cloak against cool wind, gazing toward distant horizons. The atmosphere encourages contemplation rather than conversation. Insights are not spoken aloud but carried inward. This silent guidance reinforces the city's role as a place of reflection, a retreat where spiritual and natural worlds intersect gently. The mountain's presence offers perspective, reminding individuals of their small place within a vast, enduring landscape. As years continue, signs of gradual change appear. Some residents relocate to other regions, following new assignments or opportunities. Homes are left tidy but unoccupied, their doorways closed. A priest locks a carved chest, placing it near an altar before departing. These departures are quiet, lacking ceremony. The city's population shrinks subtly, leaving fewer voices in its plazas. The reasons are practical: political shifts, changing priorities, evolving needs. Machu Picchu remains intact but feels slightly emptier, its rhythms softer. The mountain watches in silence as footsteps diminish, marking a transition that unfolds without disruption or alarm. With fewer people, maintenance becomes more challenging. Terraces still hold, but weeds require more effort to control. A lone worker kneels to clear debris from a channel, pausing to catch breath in thin air. Buildings remain sound, yet some roofs show wear. Repairs proceed slowly, constrained by limited hands. The city's quiet deepens, creating long stretches of solitude. A bird lands on a stone wall, tilting its head before taking flight again. The absence of bustling activity underscores the fragility of human presence in such a demanding environment. Still, the place endures, supported by careful construction and lingering purpose. Eventually, a decision is made to shift attention elsewhere. The empire faces new demands: administrative changes, external pressures, strategic priorities. Machu Picchu, remote and resource-intensive, becomes less central. One by one, residents depart, carrying belongings wrapped in woven cloth. A final caretaker closes a gate, glancing back at the terraces before descending the trail. The city is not abandoned in haste, but left quietly, without conflict or collapse. The mountain reclaims its silence. Clouds drift across empty plazas, and stone walls stand watch over vacant dwellings. Machu Picchu enters a long pause, preserved by altitude, solitude, and time. Centuries pass, and vegetation begins to creep across terraces and roofs. Moss spreads along walls, filling tiny gaps between stones. Vines take hold, weaving through abandoned doorways. The air remains thin, cool and steady, carrying the scent of damp earth. Birds nest in sheltered corners. A fallen branch rests near a stairway, undisturbed. The city does not crumble quickly. Its careful construction resists decay. Instead, it becomes quieter, more hidden, as nature gradually softens its edges. From a distance, the site blends into the mountainside, indistinguishable from rock and forest. The city waits, patient and unseen, beneath shifting cloud. Below in the valleys, memories fade. Generations grow up without knowledge of the high city. Stories may linger faintly, but details dissolve. Roads shift, paths change, priorities evolve. The world continues moving while Machu Picchu remains still. Rain falls, seasons turn, empires rise and fall. A shepherd walks along a distant ridge, unaware of the stone structures hidden above. The absence of human presence becomes complete, leaving only the elements to mark time. Silence deepens, not as emptiness, but as preservation. The city becomes part of the mountain's quiet, sheltered by altitude and the gentle concealment of mist. In later centuries, explorers and locals traverse the Andes in search of roots, minerals, and livestock pastures. Some pass near the hidden site, but clouds often obscure the ridge. Dense vegetation conceals pathways, making access difficult. A traveler rests on a rock, scanning the landscape without noticing terraces covered by foliage. The city remains just out of sight, protected by geography and chance. Its existence becomes a quiet secret held by the mountain itself. Even those who wander close feel only the vastness of the terrain, unaware that stone walls lie just beyond the curtain of green and cloud. Centuries continue to unwind. Nations change, borders shift, and new technologies emerge in distant parts of the world. Still, Machu Picchu remains untouched, sheltered by isolation. Snow dusts surrounding peaks in winter, melting into streams that feed abandoned terraces. Morning sun occasionally reveals faint outlines of walls beneath vegetation, but only briefly. A passing bird lands on a collapsed roof beam, pecking before taking flight. Nature balances decay with protection, preserving the city's structure. The mountain holds its secret through storms, winds, and time. The world grows louder elsewhere, while here, silence remains the defining voice. In the early 20th century, curiosity about Inca history brings explorers into the Andes. Expeditions seek evidence of lost cities, ceremonial sites, and ancient routes. Among them is a researcher guided by local knowledge. Together they climb steep trails, their footsteps steady but labored in thin air. Clouds drift across the ridge as they approach. A guide brushes aside foliage, revealing a stone wall beneath moss. The discovery is quiet, almost understated. There is no roar of excitement, only a shared breath of recognition. Something long hidden has returned to human awareness with gentle, undeniable clarity. Explorers begin clearing overgrown paths, revealing terraces and buildings concealed for centuries. Tools scrape away vegetation, uncovering precise stonework. A worker lifts a loose branch, exposing a narrow doorway. Light filters through shifting clouds, illuminating carved edges. The site reveals itself gradually, like a memory resurfacing. Notes are taken, sketches drawn, photographs captured. The air feels charged with calm wonder. Researchers move carefully, mindful of the fragile balance between preservation and exposure. Each newly uncovered structure deepens understanding of the city's purpose and design. Machu Picchu transitions from obscurity to rediscovery, its presence felt once more in the living world. News of the site reaches scholars and institutions. Interest grows, bringing more researchers and resources. Paths are reinforced, and studies begin in earnest. Archaeologists examine artifacts, architecture, and agricultural systems. A researcher brushes dust from a ceramic shard, holding it gently before placing it in a container. The focus remains on learning rather than spectacle. The mountain environment demands respect. Weather shifts quickly, and altitude challenges endurance. Teams work methodically, documenting findings with care. Each detail contributes to a clearer picture of how Machu Picchu functioned. The city, once silent, begins to speak through evidence preserved in stone and soil. Preservation efforts take shape. Walls are stabilized, terraces maintained, and erosion managed. Workers plant native grasses to strengthen soil and prevent landslides. A conservator adjusts a support beneath a stone doorway, ensuring its longevity. The goal is not reconstruction, but protection. Machu Picchu's value lies in its authenticity, its quiet endurance through time. As conservation continues, the site becomes accessible to visitors, though still remote. Approaching the city requires effort and respect. The mountain's presence remains dominant, reminding all who come that this place belongs first to nature. Human stewardship seeks only to safeguard what the past has left behind. Visitors from around the world begin arriving, drawn by curiosity and admiration. They climb steep paths or ride along narrow routes, ascending into thin air. Upon reaching the terraces, many pause, catching their breath as clouds part to reveal the city. A hand rests on a stone wall, fingers tracing ancient craftsmanship. Voices remain hushed, subdued by altitude and awe. The site feels both intimate and vast, inviting reflection. Travelers move slowly through plazas and stairways, sensing the weight of history beneath their feet. Machu Picchu offers not spectacle, but stillness, a chance to experience time layered gently across stone. Guides share knowledge about Inca engineering, agriculture, and astronomy. They point to precise stone joints, aligned windows, and terraces designed for stability. A visitor lifts a camera, capturing mist drifting across rooftops. The air is cool, occasionally warmed by sunlight breaking through clouds. Learning unfolds at a measured pace, encouraging patience rather than haste. Information connects past and present, revealing how the city once functioned. Visitors begin to understand that Machu Picchu was not merely scenic, but purposeful, a testament to ingenuity and respect for landscape. The city's quiet intelligence becomes evident in every carefully placed stone. Some visitors climb higher still, reaching observation points above the main structures. From here, the entire city appears nestled within the mountain's embrace. Mist flows through valleys like a slow-moving river. The terraces form orderly patterns against the steep slope. A traveler adjusts a backpack strap, gazing outward in thoughtful silence. Distance offers perspective, highlighting the careful balance between nature and design. The city's isolation feels deliberate, fostering contemplation. The view reinforces a central truth. Machu Picchu was built to coexist with its surroundings, not dominate them. Its beauty lies in this harmony, preserved through time and elevation. Researchers continue studying the site, uncovering details about daily life, trade, and ritual. Excavations reveal tools, pottery fragments, and traces of food storage. A scientist brushes dirt from a small stone blade, examining its edge with interest. Findings suggest a community that valued practicality and spirituality in equal measure. Discussions unfold quietly among team members, their voices softened by wind and altitude. Each discovery refines understanding, adding nuance to the city's story. Machu Picchu remains a place of questions as much as answers, a reminder that history is often layered, complex, and best approached with patience and humility. The site gains recognition as a cultural treasure. Preservation laws are enacted, limiting construction and regulating access. Visitors follow designated paths to protect fragile areas. A ranger adjusts a rope barrier, ensuring boundaries are clear. The focus shifts from discovery to stewardship. Machu Picchu becomes a symbol of heritage, shared by many, but owned by none. Its endurance depends on collective care. The city's significance grows, not through commercial development, but through respect. People depart with a sense of responsibility, understanding that the past survives only when the present chooses to protect it thoughtfully and consistently. Weather continues to shape the site. Rainfall nourishes vegetation, but also threatens erosion. Conservation teams monitor slopes and drainage channels, repairing surfaces when needed. A worker kneels near a terrace edge, checking stones for stability. Clouds drift across the city, creating moments when structures appear and vanish in shifting light. These natural rhythms remind observers that Machu Picchu remains part of a living environment. Time and weather will always influence its condition. Preservation is an ongoing dialogue between human effort and natural forces, requiring attentiveness and humility. The mountain's presence remains constant, overseeing every change. Tourism increases, bringing more visitors each year. Efforts are made to balance access with protection. Entry limits are set, and guided routes manage foot traffic. A traveler pauses on a narrow path, allowing a group to pass before continuing. The atmosphere remains respectful and calm. People listen to wind rustling through grass, watch clouds curl around peaks, and take quiet photographs. Despite increased attention, the site retains its contemplative character. The challenge becomes maintaining that stillness amid growing interest. Those responsible for its care emphasize education and mindfulness, reminding visitors to move gently through this fragile, storied space. Machu Picchu is eventually recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, acknowledging its cultural and historical importance. The designation offers protection and global awareness. A small plaque near the entrance marks the honor without disrupting the landscape. Visitors read it briefly before turning their gaze back to the terraces and mountains. The city's legacy becomes shared across nations, a testament to human ingenuity and environmental harmony. It stands not as a relic of conquest, but as a quiet achievement born from respect for land and careful craftsmanship. Its story continues, carried forward by those who witness its enduring presence. Return to the present moment, where mist still drifts along steep slopes and stone terraces cling to the mountainside. The air is cool, carrying the scent of moss and distant rain. Machu Picchu rests quietly, unchanged in its calm. Think of the hands that shaped its stones, the footsteps that climbed its paths, and the silence that preserved it for centuries. Let those images soften, blending into one gentle impression of endurance and balance. The city remains a reminder that time can pause, that places can hold memory, and that stillness has its own quiet strength. Now return to your own room, to the familiar air around you. The sounds nearby are small and steady, perhaps a faint hum, a soft creak, or simply your own breathing. The mountain fades from view, leaving only a lingering sense of calm. Machu Picchu's story settles into the background, part of a wider tapestry of history and resilience. Here, you are grounded, safe, and warm. Let thoughts drift like clouds over distant peaks, unhurried and light. The night belongs to rest. Allow stillness to guide you toward sleep, as the lost city in the clouds continues its quiet watch above the world.